Right.
Yeah, that was a whole nother learning. And that was really great to connect with some of the Cape City Commission staff and then also learn about what each town was doing. I got to talk to Concom agent from Harwich, Board of Health person from Harwich. Yeah, and Orleans and Chatham. So it was really great. Yes, so I wanted to share the plan for Martha's Vineyard Commission's lawn and then also back parking lot. Um, but just briefly, I wanted to share sort of my responsibility or my job, and then also how that ties to water related issues and the things that I've been thinking about. So I'm going to just sort of quickly share that and then I'll get to the landscape care. Um, so I, I just shared this presentation with Chilmark Conservation Commission last month, sort of where we are at with the climate action plan, the Vineyard Way. And then this was a plan that came out in 2022 and then involving over about 100 residents and 90 climate action pledges were signed. And then it's so 6 thematic groups, areas: land use, natural resource and biodiversity is one, transportation, infrastructure and waste, public health and safety, economic resilience, food security, energy transformation. So these are all areas that I'll be touching with. I just was attending an emergency management meeting with the Dukes County. Yeah, so it's sort of like a wide range. But the part that's most related to this Water Alliance is the land use, natural resources, and biodiversity section. And there are 3 objectives. 1, prioritize land use for public safety and ecosystem values. 2, promote biodiversity, habitat, health, connectivity, and resiliency. And then the 3rd part is to protect the coastal ponds and a sole source aquifer. And there have been quite a few actions accomplished, but not the water section. So this is definitely one of the priorities. I would like to put that forward and we'd love to hear your thoughts on this. So I'm not going to go through all of these slides, but I just wanted to share this just so you know, like where I am on that climate action plan. And so this is our website that Morgan, climate communication specialist, that has built and then functioning. And we have been going through how much progress has been made by going over all these actions, and then it's sort of showing awaiting resources, in progress, complete, or otherwise. And then so as you can see on this water section, all of the actions are still not really kicked into gear. So I would love to start this, and then I believe there will be some overlaps with the people in this room. And then another section I'm really keen on, and also Liz left a note, my predecessor, is the salt marsh front. And so this is something, there's quite a bit of state assistance on this. I think it's about sort of connecting what our needs are and our priorities are, and then connecting with the state resources. So this is another area, perhaps might overlap with some people in this room. Okay, so that said, I would like to get to MVC Land Care Plan. This is a presentation I shared with the commissioners last Thursday. And this is also part of a climate action plan, a sort of a implementation. And specifically, it comes under biodiversity objective number 2. By 2040, natural resources and biodiversity are cooperatively managed and protected to maintain and promote habitat health, connectivity, and resiliency. And a couple of years ago, we got a grant from the state, and then we got to work with Martha's Vineyard, Vineyard Conservation Commission, no, sorry, Society, Vineyard Conservation Society, Biodiversity Works, and then Polyhill Arboretum to make this material plant local MV. And then I personally was also very much part of this project. And then we heard from some focus groups that there is a very much need for more visible examples of native planting in its residential landscapes. And then also this goes back to Martha's Vineyard Commission Act, which began this organization, the organization I work for, whose purpose is to further protect the health, safety, and general welfare of island residents and visitors by preserving and conserving for the enjoyment of present and future generations the unique natural, historical, ecological, scientific, and cultural values of Martha's Vineyard by protecting these values from development and uses which impair them, which would impair them by promoting the enhancement of sound local economies. So current Martha's Vineyard landscape practice is the application of fertilizer twice a year or 3 times a year, and then lime also applied in the fall, which is not recommended by local conservation groups, and a regular mowing every other week or so. And then the plant choices are not really friendly to the island's unique nature, but rather it upholds an aesthetic of the mid-20th century suburban landscape. But this means that we have an amazing potential for becoming a model for a residential neighborhood in Oak Bluff's downtown area or residential area. Yeah. So the approach is that to take on Natural Neighbor's suggestion. Natural Neighbor is a group or program of Biodiversity Works, a nonprofit on Martha's Vineyard that monitors wild habitat, wildlife. And so they visited us last June, and they suggested some areas for improvement, mainly to add native perennials, replace use with the beach bums, and wildlife features, so on. And then focus is biodiversity and then also human use. The idea is to enhance land care for the unique flora and fauna on the island, but also making sure that there's some green space for recreation and safety, meaning safety from tick concern. And then to support island's unique flora and fauna this way, by nurturing existing native or edible plants, there are some, and then removing invasive problem plants. And the transition will be about 3 to 5 years. So this is what the location, this building and landscape looks like for over last 100 years or so. And today, when you go to the commission, it looks like this from the front, very visible for New York Ave. The lawn is quite shady or partly shady in the summer with some bare patches. Apples have not been pruned for some time. And then there's an abandoned tire. And then there is about a 3-foot wide band of grass leaves sand area, and then while making sure that there's parking lot in the front. So like looking from above, this is the plan. And so here's the MVC stone building right here. So I'll go over a step from 1 through 10. So the front patch will be planted with some hardy salt-tolerant plants like switchgrass, purple lovegrass, golden Alexander, and a seaside goldenrod. And then a shade understory will be with some shade-loving dry soil plants like columbine, wild geranium, wavy hairgrass, and a whitewood aster. And then there will be nest box, so placed on the elm that's existing, and that's for predator prevention for small birds, placed as low as 4 foot high. And then the design of the nest box will be collaborated with natural neighbors. And then 4 and 5 is a pollinator patch and a bird bath. So this will be more sun-loving and dry plants like butterfly weed, aster, little blue-eyed grass, little blue stem. And then the bird bath will have a solar bubbler all year round. And then this is one of the sort of bigger transformation is to basically turn the foundation into by removing yews that are there right now, and then planting Nantucket shadbush, which was late NBC staff Christina Brown's favorite bush, and then planting some 4 beach plums. And then in the back will be a habitat pile by arranging some branches, stems, and leaves for bird habitat. The idea is to retain as much biomass on site, which is the best practice. Often, advocated for by national sort of conservation groups. And to prune apple trees for structure and a fruit, about taking off a third of branches in the winter. And then also where the red mark right here is a very small apple tree that's heavily compromised so remove that from this space. And in the back meadow pilot, so this is a parking lot of Martha's for the commission. The idea is to add some short native plants as available and remove invasive plants bi-weekly in the summer. And then lastly, canopy transition. So canopy is very important in the summer, but almost all of them, except for a few, are Norway maple, which are not, which are invasive species. So the plan is to coordinate with an arborist so we can replace and transition away from Norway maple. So the timeline, and then I'll focus is the front lawn area. So this is a priority area beginning this fall. And then it is slowly working towards to the back. So the timeline is looking like this. Right now, I'm making a plant list so that I can go over to Poly Hill and then also local plant nurseries. We got to build some relationships with all of the nurseries when we were making that plant local brochure. And then so in early October, we'll remove invasive species and use. And with the NBC staff as they are available, and then also I welcome the commissioners. And after we plant, making sure that we water new plantings as needed, check bird bath daily, and then also remove leftover invasives. And then around February, I'm planning to prune apple trees and add branches to that habitat pile in the back. If appropriate, I need to double check if it's the best practice in terms of fruit tree health. So that I need to check with some, experts. And then following a spring, add more plants as needed in the sort of front patch, shaded understory, and a pollinator patch. And then June through October, mow remaining lawn area monthly, not twice a month, and then but not mowing some of the future meadow plot in the back. The idea is to let the plants, existing plants, grow if they're native plants. So as the VCS says, the best native plants are the ones that are already existing on the property. So I would like to really follow that tip. And then September, we'll start to look into adding some plants in the meadow plot. And then in January, begin planning canopy transition with an arborist. Yeah, so this is the rough plan for the NBC Land Care. Thank you.
Well, thank you. That's quite a plan. That's the third time I've seen it, but it's more familiar every time. It's a lot of work,
Thanks, Richard.
but it's such a visible, location that many, many people will enjoy it. And I don't know if I asked you this question before, but are you going to put up some kind of a sign to let people know what this is all about?
Yes, thank you.
Good. And
Yes.
and also, you know, if you just let people know that they can stop in front and get out and take a look, that's okay.
Like invite them in
Yeah, or
and
else,
like maybe that's
parking in back too, but well, you're welcome to
hmm
stop by and walk around. Okay, are there any
And
questions?
Sakiko, we have copies of that native planting book, right?
Yes. Yes, we do. We have lots. So
So
if
if anybody
you
wants one of those.
do let me know. I have quite a few copies and yeah, updated versions too.
Great. Yeah, that'll really help me. Okay. I don't know. Is there anybody here? John, do you have anything how was your summer and see anything exciting happening? I can't see anybody, so I don't know.
Yep, you muted.
So Kiko, thank you. That's incredibly awe-inspiring, the whole thing, what you've done just with the MVC plan, but everything else as well that's going on. I was wondering whether there's any plan to take advantage of what the MVC is going to be doing with this great plan locally to make the whole process available to others on the island, other groups on the island, even the Martha's Vineyard Garden Club, to help further the promulgation of the approach and why you're taking it.
Thanks, John. Excellent question. Yeah, in fact, one of the actions written in the climate action plan is to develop a guide specifically for public spaces, but it doesn't really need to be limited for that. I was hoping to, yes, have some kind of material available, but since then I decided to focus on other areas since there are quite a few other areas that I need to be sort of, yeah, in charge for. But if I find another sort of like a way or team of people to sort of start working on like making some materials available, then it's definitely a possibility. The VCS, the Poly Hill, and the Biodiversity Works have been meeting since they've made that plant local. So if there's a funding and also like an extra room in their extra room and time in their schedule, it's a possibility for us to all work together collaboratively to basically develop more beyond Plant Local that we put out.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Go ahead, John.
Follow up. Thanks, Sakiko. By the way, I'm very glad to have met you, however briefly, the other week. What I was thinking more in the lines of live coverage or sharing. For example, perhaps somebody from MVTV could video part of it, and that you could maybe put it up online in installments, just as a way of building interest and using that as part of the process of increasing the odds that what MVC has wonderfully chosen to do would be replicated across the island as appropriate.
I see. Thanks. Yeah, that's
Okay.
definitely a possibility. Thanks for suggesting that.
I think this is perfect timing because there's such a concern about people. Everybody thinks they have to have a huge, perfectly green, mowed 3 times a week lawn. And it's like, no, that's boring. That is so boring and it's not good for the environment. So this is great.
Yeah, and some homeowners I talked to, they said that they were interested, but they don't necessarily know how to do it, to how to move away from sort of lawn maintenance, and then which also for some people are an emotional process. So this might be sort of easier way in to see somebody else do this process so that they can sort of, you know, imagine them doing the process.
Yeah, we could also, you know, get the landscapers on board. You know, ending lawns doesn't necessarily mean that we're taking their business away. You know, this is more labor intensive. I mean, you know, this is probably more enjoyable than just sitting on a lawnmower mowing a lawn, you know? So I think those are the people we need. Well, yeah, the homeowners first, but the landscapers need to be educated about how to do this.
Yeah, so VCS is doing a great work on this, and Lucas Thor, he recently got added to their staff. I think he is planning on some events around this conversation. It's like sometimes a chicken and egg. Really all depends on like which relationship we're talking about. And yes, landscapers, but also there's clearly demand from consumer side. So if we can sort of work together both at the same time, that'll be great. I did have a robust conversation with the Brazilian landscapers during the process of Plant Local, and about 9 to 10 people attended that focus group, and they expressed a very much interest in native plants and wanting to learn and then taking care of them, but they weren't so sure if that's going to make sure that their livelihood would be supported financially. And because that's a whole different training and education, which not every landscaping company owner is ready to invest in. Yeah, it's not, there was like uncertainty despite the interest in this work. So.
Yeah, it's going to take a while. Anybody else have any concerns or questions about this presentation? This idea? Yep, John again.
Just to follow up, I'm very interested to hear that you had that focus group, Sakiko, probably 15 or more years ago. Briefly, there was a young Brazilian landscaper whom I had met at a presentation at Poly Hill, who became extremely interested in the Water Alliance because he learned about the blue pages from the version that had been put out thanks to the tribes getting the funding in Brazilian Portuguese. And then unfortunately he moved off island. And I was wondering whether you've along the lines of VCS's collaboration with landscapers, whether you've encountered anybody who might be interested, for example, in becoming part of the Water Alliance, and you know, who might act as a connector between these realms.
It's a good idea.
Are you specifically interested in sort of like a Brazilian community members being part of Water Alliance? Is that right? You're muted.
All right. Yes, thanks. That was along the lines of what you've mentioned, which is, for example, what VCS is doing overall that you mentioned, Lucas is doing with the landscapers, your connection to the Brazilian component of that realm. But in other words, to bring in, if there are people who, for whatever idiosyncratic reasons, are more interested in the water aspects of things, to bring them into the Water Alliance. So yes, the Brazilian community, others from landscaping.
So I'm sharing the nonprofit started by Marcelo. He is from Brazil. He's been on the island for about like over 20 years. He is offering some help to transition away from heavy, application of fertilizer to landscapers and also homeowners. I think his focus might be a little bit more homeowner side, but he is the one who offered fertilizer workshops to the Board of Health hosted fertilizer workshops. So yeah, I'm looking for his picture, but he might not be in this website. But he's pretty active. He works for Landscope, so this is basically his sort of free time activity and a passion. But I believe he's got some funding recently so that he can actually start really collecting islands like native plants. So he is definitely one of the amazing resources that we have on the island. Now, whether or not he has time for discussions with the Water Alliance, I'm not so sure, but I'm happy to connect to you. Yeah, with him.
Great. Okay, anybody else? Well, thank you, Sakiko. I really appreciate your hard work, and you've got a lot on your plate, that's for sure. Replacing
Thanks.
That she does.
replacing two very talented people. So, all right, Sherry, what's up next?
Does anybody else have anything else to report? Becky, I know you're here. I don't want to put you on the spot, but anything you want to highlight that you I know you guys are so busy, and I'm so sad that you lost Andrew Karlinski, that he went on to other things. I know he was a lot of help.
Yeah,
Um,
he'll definitely be
do you
missed.
mind giving,
But you know, he's an island kid. You gotta fly for a while before you come back and really figure out, excuse me, what you want to do. But he has been just a delight to work with, and very dedicated. So I figure he'll do well in whatever he decides. So if you know of anybody you want to send our way, please do. Um, we're same as ever, completely understaffed and working our asses off, and um and yay team.
how did your beach planting grow? Is everything growing really well that you
Oh, yeah.
planted?
Yeah. We've been lucky for the last several years. It always seems to rain the day of or the day after we've been planting. And after every storm, when we go out to the beach, it's very easy to see um the progress and know full well that we would have lost a whole lot more beach had that grass not been there, because the erosion ends up hitting right below the grass line. So it's growing, it's doing its thing. We're hoping to do a bit more in collaboration with the Martha's Vineyard Shellfish Group this next year with eelgrass. So we'll see how that goes.
Fantastic. Where do you think you'd put the eelgrass in, Menemsha or Nashaquista or?
Menemsha, we don't do a whole lot of work in Nashaquitsa. But we know where the bare spots are in Menemsha Pond. And we know how far the eelgrass has declined over the years, because we've got a study that was done probably about 10, 15 years ago, marking the eelgrass. And so we've been able to compare basically how much we've lost between now and then. And we've lost quite a bit. So it's time to replant and um, get more baby habitat going for those who
And the
aren't.
herring, I hear the herring was not. I'm
Oh.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, the herring was devastating, but
Sorry.
you know, we still keep trying. This next year, we will be hiring a environmental consulting firm to do a full comprehensive study of Squibnocket, including all the bugs and the algae and everything else connected with it. So we'll have even more information to hopefully add to the picture of the state of things in Squibnocket.
That sounds great.
Fantastic. That'll be really interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you, Becky. Anybody else have anything new to tell us or concerns they have after another summer? Guess it wasn't quite as hot as it could have been or has been, but yeah, John.
Thanks. Wanted to follow up, Richard, on your question to ask Sakiko. In your presentation in the initial part about the plan, the section that mentions coast, you're raising the notion of an island-wide coordinated effort to deal with water. In the text, it indicates coastal ponds and things affecting the sole source aquifer. And I wondered, is it implicit in that the inclusion of kettle ponds and all surface freshwater? And is there any notion of more investment in those realms, for example, in dealing with phosphorus?
We haven't started this group either yet. So I think it sort of kind of depends on what direction, if there's going to be a group or a different form, kind of depends on what would be the focus. I don't think we need to like avoid freshwater in that work, but all kind of depends on who I can get together with, what resources there are, and what the priorities are. Yeah, so if you have any input, I would appreciate it. But yeah, I just wanted to share that action has not really been done. Yeah.
Understood.
And if-
Thanks. I also was
If and
wondering.
when we,
Go ahead.
no, go ahead, John.
Thanks. I appreciate very much what you just said, Sakiko. And I was also wondering what is considered to be implicit in the text, whether that is taken to include surface freshwater.
I see.
Thanks.
At least from I just wanted to reread it before I respond. Yeah, larger goal is really focused on coastal ponds, but when we look at, so this is a goal. By 2040, we will have protected our coastal ponds and a sole source aquifer against the increasing pressures of climate change and population growth. So I guess in that text is coastal ponds. But objective 1, nitrogen mitigation and other pollutant strategies have been identified, approved, funded, and implemented for each priority coastal ponds by 2027 and all other coastal ponds by 2030. I guess I was kind of hopeful up until like when we got to the coastal ponds, but yeah, this seems to be a high focus on coastal ponds. Yeah.
I take your point looking at the text, but I mean, but the initial statement by 2040, we will have protected our coastal ponds and sole source aquifer. And so this is specifically about the coastal ponds, but if it's not including surface freshwater and so on, how is it fulfilling the protection of the sole source aquifer?
Yeah, I think you have
Good
a
point.
really good point there.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and I think especially after this past summer, I mean, I don't remember it being, so dry for so long. Fortunately, I don't think we ran out of any water in any of the town wells, but Sherry, do you have any measurements as to how dry it got and how low the freshwater, what's that called? The aquifer got?
We went into a mild drought, but we weren't, Cape Cod's always in more of a medium drought, but we went into a mild drought, but then luckily we were saved. It was really scary at the beginning because it was so hot, so fast, and the water temperature was the same temperature as the air. But then luckily the winds picked up and we did get some rain, and the temperature started dropping again, because I was really nervous. You know, June and July were really hot, and I was really nervous that we were really going to have some, you know, major problems because it was so hot in the ponds. But they seem to be okay. And then luckily the temperature started dropping a little, and the wind really, the wind mixing really helps bring the temperatures down.
Huh.
So, but yeah.
Well, good.
Sorry,
We
I'll
did.
stop sharing screens and things soon. But I was
No,
just
that's
looking
your
at
job.
this,
Yeah, thank you.
and
Yeah.
I felt so special looking at Martha's Vineyard.
Look at us out there, normal.
Yeah, and yeah, at one Cape, there was quite a bit of concern on drought. Yeah, it's part of the conversation.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
The rest of the state was in trouble, but we were not,
That's weird.
mhm.
which was funny because we kept having a lot of rain that missed us, and but I guess we got
Yeah.
just enough. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
was there
and-
anything else at One Cape that was really stand out to you, Sakiko? I'm sorry, I did not get to attend, but
Um, there, yeah, I'm just trying to like remember like a water related issues, because this is sort of like a smart growth conference. I guess that's how I would at least phrase it. A lot of talks in the housing security, sort of like densification and how to talk about that, plan that. And the sessions that I attended were buyouts of the state considering buying out some of the properties on the floodplain, and trying to be proactive rather than reactive, because most of all the buyouts that have happened so far are about being reactive to hurricanes, and then buildings got destroyed or houses got destroyed, and therefore whether federal money public entities will purchase. But now we don't really have access to federal funding to do that, and then the increasing risk of hurricanes. So yeah. There was a conversation on wastewater in the plenary session, and I guess that's when a drought conversation popped up. But yeah, sorry, I don't quite remember all the details from that session. But 10 years ago, Cape came up with the plan of like a wastewater plan, and then how much they have shifted, and then need to do more. Sorry, so vague, but that's about what I can remember.
I think it's good that John brought up
Um,
the fact that we do need to worry about our fresh water. We get so much talk about coastal ponds, but fresh water is we can't drink salt water. We could boil it and waste a lot of energy getting the salt out of it. But so and are you familiar with what a kettle pond is, Sakiko?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's where a large chunk of ice got stuck and melted. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people understand that.
it's amazing
Yeah.
driving through Cape Cod. You see it's water everywhere.
Yeah.
Good.
Just further to fresh water, there's one survey that was done with the help of the MVC with Bill Wilcox. I think it was at least 20 years ago. And the then head of the National Park Service's coastal lab volunteered her time with an assistant and came to the island and helped collect water from pretty much every freshwater pond. I can't remember whether we did streams, and that was also done with late Rusty Walton. But between Rusty and me and Bill, we got permission to enter a lot of private areas to sample the water. So that the results are with the commission in a spreadsheet, and it's not been replicated, but we have that baseline from long ago. And
Okay,
the other
thank
thing
you.
that you may still have are the National Park, Cape Cod National Seashore, thanks to the contacts there, sent a box of their Kettle Pond Atlas that you may still have at the commission. And that's an incredible compendium of data and analysis from all the incredible kettle ponds in the National Seashore.
Have they continued that?
Oh yeah, look at
And
that.
that's for the Cape?
Oh, it's the Kettle Pond Data Atlas. John Portnoy was the lead on that. And it's dated April 2001, which means that our survey
Thanks.
was from after that. And I have wondered myself, but I have not yet gotten in touch with them to see what they've done in the last 20 some years. But presumably they've continued. I mean, whether they're able to do that under our current circumstances, I don't know. I can look into it.
I know there was a talk on freshwater ponds at One Cape. It was the one conference portion of the conference that I wanted to attend. And I will try to get in touch with them and see if I can pull them, for Water Alliance. Maybe
Yeah.
for next month.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, that would be great. Or if you get in touch with the gentleman who did the Atlas and they're doing more work, he'd be a great one to have come talk to with us too, John.
I'll see who's still there and who's at it now. But this is what you must have at least one copy of this at the commission.
Should. Bill left me lots of things.
I'll bet he did. Bet he did. Okay, anything else?
So we're fine with the third Thursday and the time. October won't be a problem. November won't be a problem because I know Thanksgiving is late. So next 1, 2, 3 will be the 16th. Does that
16th of
sound?
October?
I am actually at the Rich Earth Conference that day.
Oh,
Do you want to hold it without me, which is fine, or
well, let's have it after you
do
go to
you
the
want to
conference.
do it
Let's do it after you,
How about the 23rd?
23rd, sure.
Okay.
Skiko, you have
Yeah,
your
that would
hand.
be great.
I was just looking through notes, and then one really amazing resource that they shared is this one, or cat is disabled. Okay, so just one last thing I will share. So this is the best practices freshwater pond buffer guidance that they created, and they, as in Cape Cod Commission, and then some of the sort of pretty in depth, and then I think the strength really shines with, yes, all these pictures and analysis, but also planting guide. Because I'm sort of trained in landscape architecture, I was really excited to see some of the examples of what people can really do, and showing like the best practices. So yeah, this resource that I found it really, really useful. And I asked Heather, one of the staff at Cape Cod Commission, if we could have a print version, and then we could sort of distribute to either Conservation Commission or the two library. But even if they don't have a print version, I think it'll be really like an amazing resource to share with water-related groups.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. What can you maybe put in the chat or get us the URL?
Yeah, chat is disabled, so I
Oh.
can send this link
Let me see if I
after.
can get it up.
Looks fantastic.
Yeah, it's yeah, it was somebody shared with me last year, and then I was just looking through this and it reminded, yeah, of this one. And I think this might be, yeah, like the material already made, so that it can be really distributed to public here.
Great.
Thanks.
That's fantastic.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. Yeah, I'll work on getting the freshwater pond, whoever gave that presentation at One Cape. See if I can get them to come and talk to us
Yeah,
on the 23rd.
that'd be great. All right. Well, thank you, Sherry, for putting this all together. Thank you, Sakiko, for joining
Okey-doke.
the team.
Thanks.
Getting a better team all the time.
I'm really glad that she's, continued Liz did so much work and got so much going. I really wanted to make sure that continued. So,
Yeah, definitely.
I know.
This
It's
was-
been a seamless.
That's
It's
great.
nice to have a fresh view at things too.
That's true.
Okay.
Get some younger people involved.
That's true. Okay.
Very, very, very impressed. This is just great. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you so much, Sakiko.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody. We'll see you on the 23rd.
That's good.
Maybe see you this afternoon at the museum.
Yeah, that could be too.
Definitely.
See you all.
Yeah. Okay, bye.